Do the Niners have to have a winning season in 2021? They've had three losing seasons in 4 years under Kyle Shanahan. What do you think?
No. And that's solely because they traded up for the number 3 overall pick. Wow. So when they start that rookie quarterback, I think if they go have another 6-11, 7-10, type season, they started a rookie quarterback. So like, what can you really expect? Okay, year 2 of the rookie quarterback. So I think that's what happened. I think
then let's extend it. Hold on real quick. If they have a losing season this year, then next year they have to have a winning season.
They have to have a winning season, 100%. There'll be no rookie quarterback excuse. It'll be the pressure's on. Like 4 losing seasons out of 5, and I would argue I love Kyle Shanahan, I love John Lynch, but they've been covered very favorably by the media for a team that passed on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and for a regime that's had 3 losing seasons out of 4. Like,
imagine if this was Chicago, man.
I think there's a lot of context as to why those things have happened. Quarterback injuries, player injuries, all of that. But every situation where these things happen have a lot of context that just doesn't get seen because the media is often black and white with how they cover this sport. And so Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are still looked at the best of the best at their respective coaching positions or coaching and management positions, in spite of the fact that they haven't had the wins and losses to back up in terms of their resume, to back up their actual the pedigree that people think they have. So from that standpoint, I think the rookie quarterback buys them 1 more year, especially if they start him day 1. But the year after, it's going to be wins and losses. And I think if they fail to have a winning season, make the playoffs, or even make a significant run in 2022, I think the seat will be hot in 2023. It'll be like, well, we think he's really smart, but he's not won.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, from an outsider's perspective, I think it's fair to be like, they got the extension. Even with a 4th losing season in 5 years, Kyle's probably not going to get fired. With John, it's a lot of losing.
No, I don't think he would. What can you blame on him?
Well,
if this quarterback decision goes the way we think it should, right? And that's what we talked about in the last topic, that it's Kyle Shanahan's decision 100% through and through. If the quarterback doesn't play well, can you blame John Lynch? John Lynch isn't the one developing that quarterback. John Lynch isn't the one who drafted that quarterback. What can you possibly blame John Lynch on to fire him? And honestly, I don't think they would, because if they had another losing season and things are looking dicey, maybe in a different kind of way, they need John Lynch to go on Rich Eisen's show and go on Colin Cowherd's show and go on Dan Patrick's show and talk about how him and Kyle are locked in step for step, what went wrong, how they're really proud of so-and-so player for going through this and going through that. We've done a really good job, blah, blah, blah. All of that, they need that. Kyle's not going to do it.
Let me just ask it a different way then. As an outsider, you could say, yeah, he's probably not going to get fired from Kyle's perspective. But put yourself in Kyle's shoes, okay? You're Kyle, and you've now had 3 losing seasons in 4 years. What level of urgency do you think you would feel to have a winning season this year? Or do you think you could actually plan and be like, you know what? Let's start a rookie quarterback, trade Jimmy, and if we go 6-11, so be it. That's no problem. Would you have that level of comfort, or would you be I just can't risk it. I got to get 9 wins.
To me, he's a guy that's always coaching with urgency. Okay. But I also think he's so smart that he kind of is aware, if you notice, during like training camp practices and during the season, he's really aware of what he thinks his team is capable of going. Yeah. He may not ever say it, like he thinks they're going to win every game, but he's kind of aware of how talented his team actually is. Like 2019, he was beaming. He knew he had that roster that could go all the way from day 1 in training camp. He didn't seem to be as confident in 2020, but he was still very confident they could go far, and injuries hurt them. So I think it would come down to, I think early in training camp, you can kind of read from Kyle how far he thinks the rookie quarterback is along and how realistic he thinks a winning season or whatever is for them.
Okay, now I'm going to go to part B of this question. It's related. So I hear what you're saying about they don't necessarily have to have a winning season, but if it was your job, you probably want one. You'd probably want to at least protect yourself here. So that brings us back to the number 3 pick. Is this a guy who you could just stash for a year, or do you feel like, from your perspective as the head coach of the 49ers, you need some production out of that pick?
Real quick, before we get to this, if you don't mind, sure. I would like to just take a half a step back.
Sure.
because I think there is one perspective that's I wanted to touch on with this entire idea of
Sure.
do the Niners have to have a winning season in terms of, you brought up the Kyle perspective, right?
Yes.
What does Kyle Shanahan want to be looked at when it's all said and done? One of the greatest offensive play designers, play callers ever, and one of the great head coaches of all time, right? I think if he has a if he has a losing season, even with the rookie quarterback, I don't think anyone will question his job security, at least for next year, because of the rookie quarterback. I think what will start to happen is his reputation will start to get picked at, especially if Sean McVay with Matthew Stafford has another winning season and wins a couple playoff games. I think people, most people seem to look at Kyle already. I certainly do, as a top 10 head coach in the NFL, in spite of McVay having much more winning success in terms of just raw wins and losses. People look at Kyle as the better coach than McVay. I think people will start to go, well, okay, Matt,
Based on what?
Another
Yeah.
if he has another winning season, McVay, if he has another winning season, I think that part of Kyle's reputation will start to get picked at, which leads you to your point of that's why he's so urgent. He would be so urgent, I think.
And that's important. I mean, job security, he could look at it as like he has ultimate, like if he gets fired from the Niners, he could go anywhere else. He doesn't have to worry about that. I think more the worry would be his reputation. He's got a great reputation for a guy who's way under 500. I mean, he's got a sterling reputation, and another losing season could erode it. It's a good point.